In 2006, Harley-Davidson sold 267,000 motorcycles in the United States in a single year. It was the peak, the pinnacle, the moment when the American motorcycle industry looked at its balance sheet and saw a century of cultural dominance validated in one beautiful annual number. Nobody in Milwaukee looked at that number and worried. They should have. By 2020, Harley-Davidson's United States sales had collapsed to 134,000 units, a 50% decline in 14 years. The motorcycle culture said nothing had changed. The market data said everything had changed. And Honda said nothing at all. No press release, no declaration. They just kept selling bikes, more bikes than anyone else, to more Americans than Harley had in years. This is the story of how Honda quietly, methodically, and completely dethroned Harley-Davidson as America's #1 motorcycle brand. Not through a single engineering revolution. They already did that in 1969, through something Harley never developed a defense against: consistency. Let's get into it. Harley will tell you they are America's #1 motorcycle brand. And if you measure what Harley wanted you to measure, heavyweight motorcycles, 601 cubic centimeters and above, they were right for decades. At its peak, Harley controlled 45 to 55% of that segment. Genuinely dominant. Nobody was close. The problem is the category. The Motorcycle Industry Council tracks total U.S. on-highway registrations across every displacement class. When you look at those numbers, not just the heavyweight segment Harley chose to compete in, but all motorcycles sold in America, the picture looks completely different. Honda has been the volume leader for years. It is the kind of margin that happens when one company competes across every segment of a market, while another has decided that certain customers are not worth pursuing. Honda took all of them. The Goldwing owned touring. The CBR series owned sport riding. The Rebel took the entry market. The Africa Twin claimed adventure. Honda built an ecosystem that reached every rider at every stage of their life. Harley measured dominance inside a fence they drew themselves. Honda ignored the fence entirely. Harley was running the wrong race, but why they kept redefining the finish line gets darker when you look at who was actually buying their motorcycles. The customer base was getting older, not gradually, dramatically. In the late 1980s, the median Harley buyer was approximately 34 to 35 years old. By 2003, Harley's own annual report documented the median customer age at 46. By 2012, industry analysts were reporting it at 47 and still climbing. The baby boomers who made Harley a cultural phenomenon were aging out of motorcycle riding entirely, and the generation behind them was not showing up to replace them. Harley tried. The Riding Academy, the Street 500 and the Street 750. Real programs, real investment, real motorcycles. None of them worked. The Street 500 was discontinued, and the Street 750 followed. In February 2021, Chief Executive Officer Jochen Zeitz announced the Hardwire Strategic Plan, which formally seeded the entry-level market. Harley was done chasing new riders. They went back to their core. Honda had no such problem. In 2017, Honda relaunched the Rebel with all new 300 cubic centimeter and 500 cubic centimeter models, priced at $4,299 and $6,999. Within 2 years, both models were consistently in the top 10 of American monthly registration data. The Rebel 300's median buyer age was somewhere in their mid-20s. Honda was not waiting for Harley's customers to age into their brand. They were building the next generation of American riders from scratch. To understand the quality gap, you have to go back to 1969, the same year Honda unveiled the CB750, when AMF acquired Harley-Davidson for $21 million. AMF understood bowling alleys. They did not understand motorcycles. Their solution to Harley's production problems was volume. Production rose from 15,000 units per year to over 70,000 by the mid-1970s. The bikes came off the line with documented oil leaks, mechanical failures, and assembly defects severe enough that dealers were performing correction work before motorcycles ever reached the showroom floor. In 1981, 13 executives led by Vaughn Beals bought Harley back from AMF for $81.5 million. The bikes improved, but the quality problems did not fully disappear. The twin-cam 88 engine, introduced in 1998, developed a documented pattern of hydraulic cam chain tensioner failures. When the tensioner failed, timing chain damage often followed, and the resulting engine destruction was catastrophic. Harley issued technical service bulletins. The aftermarket responded with third-party correction kits after owners and mechanics reported the factory fix as insufficient. That's the tell. An entire economy of aftermarket engine correction hardware exists because a significant portion of Harley buyers do not trust their motorcycles to survive in stock form. The Honda owner, finishing a long ride, is not thinking about which tensioner kit to install. They are thinking about where to ride next. That difference accumulates over decades, becomes culture, and becomes a story Honda never had to tell, because Harley's own mechanics were telling it in every forum and shop across America. The quality problem was manageable as long as the finances were strong. Then Harley made the decision that changed everything. Through the early 2000s, Harley-Davidson Financial Services became one of the most profitable divisions in the company. More profitable in some years than the motorcycles themselves. Harley was not just selling bikes, they were financing them, packaging loan portfolios, and running what had grown into a significant financial institution. Then 2008 happened. When credit markets froze, HDFS was exposed like every over-leveraged lender. In February 2009, Harley issued approximately $600 million in notes to Berkshire Hathaway at a 15% interest rate. Let that land. 15%. That is not a vote of confidence. That is a distress rate, the price a company pays when the alternative is worse. Harley also accessed Federal Reserve emergency lending facilities during this period. Production was cut. Workers were laid off. Capital that could have funded entry-level product development or the marketing infrastructure to break the demographic trap was consumed by a financial crisis of the company's own making. Honda recovered. Harley spent years servicing debt that Honda was redirecting into the next Rebel, the next Goldwing, the next Africa Twin. All of it arrived together in one product. In 2019, Harley launched the Livewire electric motorcycle at $29,799. The Honda Rebel 500 cost $6,999 that same year. In 2022, Harley spun Livewire off as a separate public company through a SPAC merger at a valuation of $1.77 billion. In the second quarter of 2023, Livewire reported quarterly sales. In the second quarter of 2023, Livewire sold 33 motorcycles in a quarter, for a company valued at nearly $2 billion. While Livewire was selling 33 motorcycles, Honda's U.S. registration totals across every segment, every displacement, every rider exceeded Harley-Davidson's by a margin the MIC data makes difficult to dispute. No announcement, no press release, just the numbers, the same as every year. The dethroning that arrived without a ceremony. So what does this mean? Harley did not lose number one because they built a bad motorcycle. They lost it because they built the right motorcycle for a market they allowed to shrink. The demographic trap, the financial crisis, the quality debt, the refusal to build for the next generation, these were not accidents. They were decisions. Honda built a $4,299 motorcycle for the 25-year-old who could not afford $12,000. They made it reliable enough that the 25-year-old became a 40-year-old Honda customer. They built the Super Cub, 100 million units, for everyone else. And they never stopped. Harley has cultural gravity. Honda will never match on American soil. The V-twin will always mean something. But number one, in total units, across all riders, across all of America, number one belongs to Honda. The data has been saying it for 20 years. It is finally loud enough to hear. If you want more stories about the business decisions and engineering history behind the machines we ride, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.